Hello and welcome. You probably already know what this video is about. We're going to look into making a full-size R2D2. A few months ago I made this little R2D2 complete with control system. If you're not quite ready to start a full size one but you're interested, please do click the link below and then come back here afterwards. The most frequent questions I'm asked is how much does it cost, how long does it take, and how difficult are they really? I don't generally keep track of these things. I buy the parts when I can afford to and I put them together when I've got the time to do it. So this is going to be the first time that I'm actually going to track everything so that I can share that information with you. How much does it really cost and how long will it take to build this R2? You can see I've already made a bit of a start. What I'm going to do now is we're going to go back a couple of weeks to when I took the first steps for this new astromech. So please do join me. Okay, so let's start our journey on building a full-size R2D2. So there's two first things we need to do. First we need some filament, and first we need the actual files themselves. So it's up to you which order you're going to go about it. I'm going to sort of order myself some filament. Now with the droids that I've built so far, they've nearly all been 100% PLA+. I live in the UK, I don't have to worry too much about the extreme temperatures, and all of my droids have been absolutely fine. So it's November the 28th. I've gone onto the JO website. I'm not sponsored by any filament company. I did reach out to a few, didn't get any responses, but I've used a lot of JO in the past. And what I've done is I've already placed this order. I've gone on and I've basically placed an order for, at this point, I'm starting with 8 rolls of PLA+. I obviously ordered white. They seem to have sold out between me actually doing it and recording this little video clip, but I was able to get white filament. I don't normally print with white filament, but I thought it'd be just nice to see it coming up in the colours that it's mostly going to be. So my first cost, we can see just here, is coming in at £59.77 for the filament, and I think this is approximately enough filament to do the entire body and most of the greblies. I don't like buying huge amounts in one go, which is why I'm not just ordering sort of 20 rolls at this time. Now I ordered this on the Thursday night, which means it's not going to come until Monday. So in the meantime, I can flick over and start working with the files themselves. Okay, so the other first, now I've got some filament on order, is jumping over to the Michael Badley's Patreon page. There of course will be a link down below. Join up to his Patreon. You can get these files for the $1 membership, but I do recommend the $5 because you can access so many more droids. Once you've joined the Patreon, you will be emailed a welcome file, which will give you a link to the OneDrive itself where we can access those files. So I'm coming down, I'm going to click on the early bird, and inside here is the Mark IV folder, or as I believe it is the Mark IV folder. So I'm going to click that, download it, and then wait while it downloads. It's quite a large folder, so it might take you a few minutes to maybe an hour or so. It depends on your internet speed. Okay, so mine's now finished downloading. I've extracted it, I've moved it across to my droids folder. You can see there's a few folders in here and I'll come back to some of these a little bit later. But the main thing I'm interested in is the body folder. Now before I go any further, a lot of people ask the question, where should they start? And quite often we say to people, start with the dome because that sort of brings the head and the life to what you're building. However, I'm going to come back to the dome later because I've not actually decided which route I want to go down at this time. So I'm starting with the body. So I've got the basic body, there's the instructions. Always recommend having a little read through the instructions. They tell us all about the hardware that we need and the building order, but I'm going to ignore that for the moment, but please feel free to read through before proceeding with this video. So if I go into the basic body, we can see there's other folders now. I will be printing all of this on a Bamboo P1S printer. I do have 2 printers, which you might be able to see in the background, but I'm only going to use one of them because I want to sort of show how long this might take if you've got the one printer, whether it's the A1, whether it's the Bamboo, whether it's any of the Creality series, it doesn't really matter. But I will also be using the 250mm cut body, the one that's designed for the Bamboo size printers, which is a 256 bed. I no longer have a 500, so I won't be touching that one anymore. Okay, so I'm in Bamboo Studio. It's already got listed the filaments that I'll be using, which is basically PLA+ in white and black. As said, I'm using my P1S with the AMS. I won't be doing any multicoloured printing, but the AMS allows me to put, say, two rolls of filament in. When one runs out, it will go to the other one, or at least that's the plan. Okay, I'm in Bamboo Studio. It's already configured for my filaments, which is what's currently my AMS. So So I'm going to the files, obviously I'm in Mark IV, body, basic body, 250mm cut. I'm going to go into the current body. I'm going to start with the lower body because obviously going to build it up. Now if I was to say let's load all these in one go, open, no, because it'll merge them. It sticks them all on one bed. Now I can risk this a little bit and just press this button, arrange. Oh, actually that's worked quite nicely. I'll probably stick with that. They're still all selected, and I'm going to make sure that the filament is set filament for, yep, the white PLA+. Now if we have a quick look at the instructions, it does tell us to use 2 walls, 15% infill, but that's because we're using, Michael was using PETG carbon fibre CF. I'm not going with that. I want to stick with easily accessible filament, filament that's not going to need you to upgrade your nozzles and gears, so I'm sticking with a stock printer and with standard filament. May look at the other filaments at a later point, but for now standard PLA+. So what I'm going to do is just go onto my strength and just say I want 3 walls. I'm going to come down here, 15% grid. Now why am I saying that? Some people are going, that's far too thin, not strong enough. Because my last astromech is that, and I've gone to many conventions with it. It's been built for about 2-3 years, and I've had no problems with the build strength on the body itself. I may change mine with the legs. So for right now, I'm going with 3 walls. Now obviously if it does break, I will report back before you start yours. So either way, I've now got these plates built, these plates aligned. So my next step, oops, I can see a couple of things down there that I don't want. So I'm just going to move, I'm going to create a new plate. I'm going to drag that across. Move that across. Now if we look, does it say it? Oh, normally it sometimes says how many we need. I know we need 4, so I'm just going to right click and say clone. I want 3. There we go, that'll do. I don't need to move these around, but I just am doing. So how much filament do we need? The other question people always ask is how many rolls of filament do I need? Well, you can calculate it yourself. If I now go onto slice all, and I just press the slice button, it's going to tell me how much filament I need for this lower part of the body. So slice all. Might take a few seconds. Okay, so that took a few minutes to do, although I did make a little bit of mistake, and I actually had the nozzle on the wrong size, so it tried to do it for a much smaller nozzle, taking longer. But we can see from these measurements, it's going to say it's taking 14 hours each for the first 3 sections, then 6 hours, and then just 25 minutes. So I'm sure most of you know this already, but what I tend to do is I have a day job as well, so I try to get a print going before I go to work, and then by the time I get home, hopefully before bedtime, I've got time to get the next print on. Now with it being 14 hours apart, this is a bit more tricky, but that's how I try and go about to try and keep the prints going a lot quicker. Okay, so let's wait till the filament arrives. Okay, this is future me talking. This was not actually my first attempt. My first attempt was to use PETG or PETG, but if you want to find out what happened there, please watch to the end of this video and I'll talk about the alternative results. While waiting for the filament and the printing, I can now continue sort of adding a few more beds. So I'm just going to chuck a couple more in. I'm going to click back on the bed that I actually want to use, and I'm just going to add the next bit. So if I go on to current body, centre body, we want 3 pieces now. I'm going to add one at a time because I don't want to mess up the others, because it puts it immediately where I need it to be. Get that centre body done. Go to the top row. Okay, there we go. So I've now got the entire body on one print file. I don't normally go any more beds than this. It's going to slow your computer down. But I can now press slice all and see how much this is going to cost, how many rolls of filament. I should have really done this before ordering filament to help calculate what do you need, plus a bit of extra just in case there's any errors. While it's slicing, just a reminder, you don't need any supports for these files, even though it's complaining right there. Okay, so I've sliced the body and it's saying here we're going to require nearly 4.5 kilograms of filament, and it's going to take just over 5 days of printing. Now that's of course if you don't waste any time, that you're in a position to just swap print after print. I'm going to try and time that to the best I can, but I know there'll be some lost hours. Okay, so I just have to wait to keep the printing. Okay, so I've got my rolls of filament, so I can now start printing. Cue montage. Okay, so it's taken me from Monday the 1st of December to Sunday the 7th of December to get to this point where I've got the body fully printed. Every part is printed first time. They've had no layer shifts, no problems, except one little bit. There's a slight bit of warping just here. I'll try and get some camera shot to show a bit closer up. And I wasn't sure what to do about it, whether to reprint it or just to go with it. So if a close look, we can see there's a bit of a gap just here where this top layer, I think it's this top layer, no, the bottom layer has warped very, very slightly downwards as it's printing. Now it's right where the door panel is going to be, so I couldn't say whether to reprint this section or will it be covered, will it be hidden by the door, will it even be a problem. If the door covers it, then I have no issues because I can just either infill it with a bit of body filler or use a 3D pen to maybe just fill that gap if it needs it, but I doubt it'll even need it for strength, but I probably will still have a faff with it. So at the moment this is just simply slotted together, as you saw possibly in the time lapse where I've just slotted it together. There's nothing fancy, there's no glue, there's no nuts and bolts right now, it's just held together by the body bars itself. Okay, so Sunday the 8th of December, I was hoping to get this all glued together today, not going to happen, out of time, so it's now going to have to wait till next weekend. So what I'm going to do between now and next weekend is start printing the doors and some of the greblies and the internal structures. So let's take a look at what that looks like. Okay, so I'm back in Bamboo Studio, and now I'm going to need the back panel, so let's have a look at that. There's quite a few things there. So again, I'm just going to grab these, open in one go. Nope. I'm going to add a few beds. Don't know how many I'll need for this. I'm just going to press the auto, arrange all objects. Arrange. Oh, right. I don't actually like that. I don't like printing too much in one go because if there's a failure, everything fails. So let's add a couple more beds again. Let's move these round. So I'm going to just, oops, I moved them by accident. Pull those over. I'll risk the doors. Body bars. It says we need 3 of those. I think I've just messed up. I'm just going to click top view. Let's have a look. Top. Don't know why it's complaining about those. I'll figure that in a minute. So there's the 3 back panel doors. There's the body bars we need for the actual back panel. So I'm just going to clone that because I need 3 of them. So clone. Oops, don't need that many. Okay, I'm going to move that over. Let's just click on the bed. Zoom in. Top so I can see what's going on. Let's pull that over a little bit. Could do with it not being in perspective mode. That should be fine. Just pull that one over a little bit. I prefer to go as central as possible where possible. Okay, so that's going to be the back door itself, so I could start printing those, and just like before, let's have a quick look at Slice All. Okay, so if everything prints right, we only need 1 roll of filament for all of this section, and it's going to take just over a day, so just another, what, 25 hours. Okay, so I want to obviously do the rest of it now. Now, I've printed 2 Astromechs before, and these doors was the hardest part of the print. Everything warped. I had loads of failures, but that was on my old CR10S5, so not looking forward to this. But hopefully, with all the improvements in Bamboo and Michael's design work, I'm quite confident. I will add a brim to this though, because I'm still a little bit paranoid. So a brim, I'm just going to go on to others. I'm just going to say brim type, outer brim. So if I wanted just to slice just this one, again, some people don't feel the need to do this. It's, again, just because I had such a hard time with this a few years ago. So if you see at the very bottom, you can see it's just got a little bit of extra surroundings, the brim around it, just to help it secure to the bed a little bit better. Okay, but I will turn that off for the others. So medium doors, optional, says read me. Now I've already read into this. Some people have a problem where the medium door is, sorry, the large door, that large door is a little bit too big and needed sanding. So Michael created a slightly smaller version. So I'm just going to print the big one, see how it goes, measure up and then continue. And then of course got small doors. So let's have a quick look. So those on. Yeah, no, because they're a little bit, so I'll move that over. It's up to you whether you want to separate them better, depending on or not, or whether you are at home just sort of babysit your printer. If you don't babysit, that's just one at a time. Okay. I think just for the sake of knowing how much filament I'm going to use for this, I am going to clone it. So if I just say clone, 1, so it goes on that bed, add a new bed, clone it again, because it will always go to the bed you've selected, and then 1 more, clone again. Okay. Let's slice all. Oh, right. I'm going to turn that brim off just for the sake of slicing because I won't need it on everything. Okay, So again, we're still at just now 1.5 days and less than 1.5 rolls of filament. So again, keeping track of how much filament we're using, and we'll do some calculations towards the end of this episode. Oh, there's one more bit I forgot that we still need to add, which is the bars for the body itself. So if I go on to the body bars, there's not much to these. In fact, I think to make this a bit easier for myself, I'm just going to create a new project. Yep, I'll save that. Okay, so there we go. There's the body bars that we need to slot inside the actual cylinders that create some of the structural integrity of the actual body unit itself. In the old Mark III, you actually ran threaded metal rod through the body. Now, I always try to have a quick look at my things that are on the bed to make sure in the right orientation. Most of these look absolutely fine. My only concern is this one. If I just click on it, let's have a quick look underneath. We can sort of see it's got a bit protruding underneath, which means that is not going to sit flat on the bed. So I'm just going to use the lay on face, click on that bit. Now it's upright, so I can see it's had this like bulbous little area. So before I press print, obviously I've just fixed it to make sure it's okay for the orientation, otherwise it would try and do itself a load of support or print in mid-air. Either way, not going to end well. So I've just checked the others. I think they're all fine and good to go. Okay. We're now sort of up to date. We are now on Sunday the 14th of December. I've printed all the greblies out. I've not shown the steps of those because it's pretty much the same thing. Add to the pred, press print. The only thing is with the greblies, I've done most of those with just 2 walls. They're not load bearing, they don't have to take any strength, they're not engineering parts, so 2 walls is fine. The only thing I've done different, and that's what's to share about, is if I go on to the basic body and I look at the utility arms. Now, when Michael made these utility arms, they were just meant to be fully static. Now, I've done quite a few conventions. People love to interact with droids. They love to wave at them, and they want something back. So there is one of the modifications. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing this right, but I think it's Jared. If I'm not, please do correct me. So in Jared's mods, he has done the utility arm module. And what this allows us to do is, if I just load the whole thing up, open, this is going to get upset. It's going to say, do I want to import things? Oh no, it's fine. Later, I wouldn't normally do this because it's choosing Jared's actual filament settings, which is not the same as mine. But on this version, you can attach a couple of servos to the back, which will allow the arms to move out, which means you can wave at people who are waving at you. So that's the version I have gone with. At a later video, I will demonstrate how to hook up the RC gear to this to make it actually work, but I've not got there myself yet. So that's it. We're now up to date with all the printing. So let's take a look at what's on the bench. Okay, so we've got the door. I've not quite sanded this down yet to make sure it's smooth to go together because I left the brim on this by accident when printing. So one back door. That will be fastened on with magnets. There we go. I've got the modification as just mentioned. Oops, spun that a bit too fast. So that slots in nice and neatly. Oops. Okay. I've got the whatever these. I forget the names of some of these things. I'm not too worried right now. I've got some of the doors. Now I can have a look at this bit now. So I don't know how clear the camera is for this bit, but the door looks like it should cover all of that without any real problems. Now right now this body is still not fastened together. It is just being held together by the bars and friction. There's no nuts, bolts, no glue. I'll be doing that shortly. So I've got the ghost doors printed. I've also printed the skirt. I've also got a bunch of the greblies, the other doors. I also wanted, there was another bit of warping as well on one of these sides. I want to see whether this bit would fit properly or not. And it fits just fine, so I'm not worried about that bit of warping. It was a slight amount. Again, I can fix that with a little bit of filler. Okay, put those away for the moment. So right now, let's Okay, so how much does this cost so far? Well, I've got the body, I've got the back door, I've got most of the other doors printed except 2 at the back, and nearly all the greblies have been printed. I've gone through 6 full rolls of filament. There's about half of a 7th on the print bed, and I've got the 8th roll from the original pack of 8 here. So we're looking really at about £50 for the body all in, but not yet the shoulders, which I'll be doing shortly. So before I can assemble it, I need some nuts and bolts and some glue. So I've already been and bought some 2-part epoxy, and I've also ordered nuts and bolts off Amazon, which have cost £7.99, and these were £1 each. So that's now £11 in adhesives. I don't know if this is going to be enough, but I'll see how far I get in a moment. Okay, so I've basically got some glue, I've got my nuts and bolts, I've got some pliers, I've got the things, I've got somewhere to mix some glue in, and I've also got some clamps. So I'm going to try and glue the parts together, then I'm going to sort of try and get the nuts and bolts in while the clamps hold it in place, because this is not the bit I enjoy the most. Always when I'm going to wreck things with glue and then you have to start from scratch. So I'm struggling a bit to get the nuts and bolts through, more due to my dexterity rather than anything else. So I'm just going to clamp it for now. It should be tight enough in place, and then I'll do it when I get the bars through. It'll probably take me a little bit of time. So I'll move on to the next little section. I think I'd rather get the full ring in as quick as I can. Also, this glue didn't come out in equal portions, which has got me a little bit worried, but see how it goes. Just don't want to stick it to the actual bench. It can be painful. So I'm just putting a little black tabs in as I go. Okay, so that's our first ring done. What's that, 5-10 minutes tops, and I could probably do a bit quicker if I wasn't faffing. I did try to put a screw in this one so it won't fit. I'll have to try and prise that screw back out. The right is always, if it's R2's right hand side. Okay, so I've basically been and put a few nuts and bolts so that I can use the clamps on the next section. It's at least 2 on each post. I did make a bit of a mistake with a bit of clumsy glue, and the glue is now blocking the holes for the actual bolts. But we now should be okay. Okay, now I might regret this. I'm just struggling a bit to get things to line up, not on the frame. So I'm going to start by gluing, and we're putting one piece at a time and hope that it goes okay. Okay, so that's the second ring sort of on and just gluing. That bit of warping that I was worried about earlier, that seems to be just stopping it from coming together as close as I would like. I'm just going to have to hope the top ring kind of locks it all in and it's not as obvious. Otherwise I might have to go in with a Dremel or something, just sort of just take it down and let it squeeze together a bit. We'll worry about that later. Top ring. Okay, so I'm going to stop kind of there for today. I'm going to let the glue on that dry and set for as long as possible. I mean, it's supposed to be 5 minutes, but I'd rather just leave it for a bit. I've weighed it down a little bit. You can see possibly that gap is bigger than I expect it to be. Now it's all fastened together, so I probably am going to go in there with a 3D pen. I'm just hoping it's not distorted the body, anything, you know, noticeable. Okay, so a couple of things. Now I did say I didn't quite start at this place. I did start in PETG. I decided to do PETG because I thought that might be making it more accessible for people, especially in America where they don't want to use PLA Plus. So on Black Friday, which was before I ordered the PLA Plus, I did buy a little box of PETG on a Black Friday sale, started printing with it, and so the first piece I printed, really not happy with the quality. In fact, hold on. I really wasn't, in fact, that's first one. I really wasn't happy with the quality finish of it, so I hadn't dried the filament, so I said dry it. I then printed this next bit and it snapped on the print bed. That's, you know, should have been, this one should have been a whole lot taller. And then I printed the next piece and this, you can't really tell, but it really badly warped. So I thought at that point, I've kind of had enough. I'm going to go back to PLA Plus, of which basically print after print after print, apart from this one little bit, you know, everything's printed perfectly first time. So I'm not sure if I'm going to count the failed print in the overall cost. If I was, I'll have to go back through Amazon and see how much I paid for that. But I kind of spent a roll and a half of filament doing those 3 bits. So I'm going to guess maybe £10–15 has been wasted on that. I've put the filaments to the side. I'm sure it'll come in handy for some other projects, and I'll dry it all off. So I certainly won't count the full 4 rolls that I paid for. Okay, so let's have a quick look at the top total price so far. So as I said earlier, I've spent £60 on filament in PLA Plus, but so far I've still got a roll and a roll and a half left. So let's just average that out at £50. £7.99 on the nuts and bolts. Glue, I've spent £3 on glue so far, and I think I've gone through them 3 tubes. They're not very good quality tubes. I'll get some better stuff for next time. I've also ordered some more filament for the next round because I need to do the internals, which I've already ordered, already got, in fact already started printing with, which has come in basically at, I've spent £90 on 12 more rolls of filament. So I've got 4 rolls of black, 8 rolls of white, so I can continue hopefully and get the legs and feet and ankles, but I might have to order some more. We are getting close to Christmas, so I'm going to try and get as much done the next few days as possible and see what I've got left. Okay, so far 160 quid on the R2 so far, but we'll see how far this gets us. If you found any part of this useful, please subscribe, maybe click the notification bell, positive comment below, and I shall see you hopefully in the next video.